Welcome, everybody, to Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast. I am one half of your host, Santi, and today we're going to be talking what's next for the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Steve, you saw what happened at WrestleMania. You're not shocked. I'm not shocked because we told you, jabronis. We told you that Cody Rhodes wasn't going to finish the story because there's still a lot to this story to be told. Steve, lay it thick on them because we fucking told them so.
First off, I'm going to start with this one. Anyone saying that this was a Vince booked match can get right out of here. Triple H had this planned the whole way. This was never happening. Roman was always getting his 1,000 days. Cody was never going over after a 3-week build. Anyone saying that it was poorly booked needs to understand long-term booking and long-term creative. Roman sealed it in his post-match conference where he said we live in the YouTube short and TikTok era, and I said this 2 months ago about expand your minds from goldfish and stop being 2-second attention span and look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is Roman is getting 1,000 days and being put into the top 5 of all time. I am not the biggest Roman fan, but I am the biggest fan of this build and storyline. It's incredible. They have invested nearly a decade in Roman Reigns, and they are going to get their payout once he hits his 1,000 days. Cody will be champion. For everyone crying, what's next for Cody? What's next? He's going to be a champion in WWE. Simple as that.
Yeah, for a refresher for those that maybe missed that episode that we're referencing, we were of the belief that you don't end the most historic run in arguably WWE history on a 3-week build. We're not saying the build was bad. We were all super excited for this match at WrestleMania, but there's just so much money that would be left on the table, right? There is so many stories that could be told. We didn't really get the story of the rise of Cody Rhodes and the grind that he has to put in to get to the title because he just got put there as soon as he came back from his injury. We wouldn't have gotten the story of the fall and the dissension and the civil war within the bloodline. Well, people were making the argument, well, we could have told the story after Roman lost the titles. No, because if had Roman lost, there would have been no head of the table. Ergo, there would have been no bloodline. The bloodline would have died right then and there, and that just wouldn't have been the way to tell the end of the bloodline. The end of the bloodline needs to be a story that is told that will take several months, that will end. By the way, those that are complaining about Roman Reigns winning every time the Usos and Solo Sikoa get involved, this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. Roman is going to lose the title because the Usos and Solo Sikoa attack him. Now we need to tell that story. We need to get there. All right. And it's going to end with Cody winning, but there's still just so much meat to the bone. And we're already seeing the sprinkles of the storyline being told in the Raw after Mania with Roman not wanting the Usos to be in there with him in the locker room. But now we need to figure out what's next for Cody because what we saw Monday night puts arguably one of his biggest obstacles in front of him in the likes of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. I just want to say one more thing about that with the Roman and the Usos and Solo. At the end of the day, we need to have, for how long the story was told to the build of the Usos and the demise of Sami Zayn and the fall of the Usos and the rise of Sami and Kevin Owens, we need to have the same thing happen with the bloodline. And arguably, even with this thing here that we saw with Brock and Cody on Monday, the one thing I was really looking into, and a theory I had, is there a lot of Paul Heyman's fingers in the jar here? Was this a Paul Heyman giving Brock Lesnar a call saying, there's dissension, I need your help? And Cody's getting too strong. He's getting too close. That match was too close. And maybe beating down on Cody for a while, making him not be peak to get to the tribal chief. I think there's a storyline there that we're missing, and I really want to see how that builds as well. But Santi, what's next for Cody? Was this a write-off beatdown? Was this a new feud to WrestleMania Backlash? Because unfortunately, I don't see Backlash being a big enough draw for Brock to want to set foot in Puerto Rico. No disrespect to that, but I'm just saying Brock doesn't really do shows like this. And this is one of those ones where I sit there and I'm like, okay, are Cody and Brock both going to be off TV for a month? Are Brock going to get a suspension for the double middle finger at the end of the show and really going over the top? Where is this? Because this is not a Roman show. The titles are not going to be on the line in Puerto Rico. Brock Lesnar doesn't do shows like this. And if Cody's got no one to feud with, where's Cody going to be? You know, so my question is what did we actually witness on Monday first?
Yeah, I think that this is what we witnessed on Monday is Cody's road back to WrestleMania. I think it's the road to redemption. Similarly to, if you remember, Steve, when John Cena lost to The Rock at WrestleMania 28, what happened the next night? He got brutalized by Brock Lesnar, right? That was, yeah. So, and it was the buildup of getting John Cena back to winning the Rumble and then getting back to be able to face The Rock again at WrestleMania 29. I think that one of the criticisms that I think a lot of fans, and Triple H was one that listened to the fans. I think he really had a good pulse on what fans felt like. One of the criticism, and there weren't very many, of Cody Rhodes was that he was just handed this, right? He's gone for months. He's given number 30. Wins the Rumble, and then all of a sudden he's main eventing WrestleMania. We're even seeing these work shoot interviews from Seth Rollins being like, that should be my spot. Cody Rhodes is just being handed all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. That's a fair criticism of Cody Rhodes. So how do you endear him, and how do you legitimize him as somebody who has worked his ass off to get to that spot, rather than it being handed to him because of his name, because whatever, his star power, his drawing power? Well, you make him go through the trials and tribulation before you bring him back to the limelight. And what better trial and tribulation than, starting off with having to slay the beast to Brock Lesnar, right? There's, John Cena went through all this stuff, right? The Brock Lesnar stuff. He had to go through, this is going to blow your mind, people that weren't watching WWE at the time, but they were a very hot, very over tag team that were attacking and brutalizing Monday Night Raw, The Miz and R-Truth, right? So he had to go through a lot of these major hurdles to eventually get to that limelight again. So that's what I see them building for Cody Rhodes here. Just that having him walk through coals, right? And earn his calluses.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the road to WrestleMania for Cody, though. I think it's going to be a lot shorter than that. As much as you and I both, it took me a lot of convincing. You said it long before this. I think it was like at 200 and something days. You said Roman's going to go 1,000 days. It took some convincing, but now I truly believe it too. But I don't see him dropping at Mania next year. I really do think the only thing that makes sense is another large stadium, and that will be SummerSlam. I don't think Cody's trials and tribulations are going to last as long as John Cena had to do. Because one, Roman's not on a Rock schedule. He's on a similar type schedule, but he's not The Rock. And Cody's not going away to film movies like John was at the start of his movie career as well. So there's a lot more ability for them to tell more in less time than they did with Rock and Cena. And I really think the fall of Roman is only SummerSlam. And I don't think we can go any further than that. I think if we go further than SummerSlam, then they're pushing boundaries that we've not seen. And I think they start to lose a lot of people if it's not SummerSlam. If Roman's finger or arm gets raised and people are told to acknowledge in Detroit, there's going to be a backlash. I really believe so. I don't see a story past SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think it could be either or. Like I'd be happy with it be. I think I'd prefer an expedited story, it being told at SummerSlam as opposed to next year's WrestleMania. This SummerSlam is going to have more people than this year's WrestleMania. Like that Ford Field is bigger than SoFi. So like it's a very respectable venue in terms of crowd reaction and the amount of people that are going to be there. So I could definitely see it being at SummerSlam. Like I think for me, one of my concerns is that like there aren't that many shows between now and SummerSlam. I think some people may be overestimating how many shows there are. This isn't 2013 WWE where there was a pay-per-view every 2 weeks. We have Backlash. Roman won't be at it. We have King and Queen of the Ring. I think Roman is at it because that's when he celebrates his 1,000 days. That would be exactly 1,000 days. But the King and Queen of the Ring, the main event, is likely not going to be Roman defending anything. It'll likely be the King and Queen of the Ring. Yep. Then we have Money in the Bank and then SummerSlam. Yep. That's it. Like we have those 3 events. So unless they add anything in between, I can with confidence say that, and even if Roman is defending at King and Queen of the Ring, he's not going to fucking lose in a Saudi event. He's not going to. He's not going to lose at a Saudi event.
Anyone who thinks Roman is going to lose at a Saudi event, unless the Saudi government decides to give Vince and Endeavor a boatload, and I mean 2 or 3 semis full of cash to have Roman lose in Saudi Arabia, which that's going to go over as well as the Fiend losing to Goldberg.
Yeah.
Like, that is like for the like not real wrestling fan. That's the wrong term. The hardcore wrestling fan, that is going to go over like a house on fire. Like that is the only time I think if Roman's defending in Saudi, I think that's the only time every single person on the planet is going to be cheering for Roman, because it doesn't make sense, because the Saudi events mean nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, they mean absolutely nothing. Yes, okay, it's King and Queen of the Ring. Great. Let's bring some prestige back before we start dropping massive titles. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So the only one that makes sense is SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series, but that's still prolonging the inevitable. And do you really want to run Cody Roman till?
Yeah. And that and that also leaves Money in the Bank. But I think at this point, whoever wins the Money in the Bank is a zero threat to Roman. Like in my opinion, especially now because I feel like this could be a conversation on its own. The Money in the Bank has now set the precedent that you can cash in on mid-card titles, unless you are Cody Rhodes that wins the Money in the Bank. The money in the Bank is a non-threat to Roman Reigns, because this reign is not going to end on a cash-in. I can bet the damn house on that. I will bet the damn house that this reign does not end on a cash-in. So that puts us at SummerSlam, and we will for sure have Roman defending at SummerSlam. I can't see it not being there. It should be against Cody, right? And it has to be against Cody. Okay, so if we are saying it's going to be Cody, what trials and tribulations do we put in front of Cody to endear him to the audience even more than he already is? We got Brock Lesnar. What else? Solo, great one.
There's a huge feud there.
Yep.
Like there's a feud for Backlash, and there's a feud for Saudi Arabia. But I think if it's Saudi Arabia, Brock has to get his Saudi money. So I think Brock goes to Saudi Arabia. Okay. Now we look at Money in the Bank. Okay. I'm going this pay-per-view by pay-per-view or premium live event. Sorry. I see. Okay. If those 2 feuds are done at those 2 events, then you look at Cody being in Money in the Bank, but Cody doesn't need Money in the Bank.
No, I could see him being against Randy at Money in the Bank.
If Randy's back, I would love to see a Randy feud with Cody Rhodes. I think that's that final step, you know, the final boss before you get to, King Koopa or whatever and King Roman at SummerSlam. But I think those are your 3. I really think those are your 3. I don't see anyone else seeing value in attacking Cody, unless they try and do some bullshit with Logan Paul in Saudi Arabia. and try and put Logan with Cody.
No, I don't see it. I mean, actually, you know what? They put Logan against Seth and Roman. Those have been his last 2 matches. So the number 1 and the number 2 in the company, arguably. So, oh man. So this is as you can see, there's a lot of meat left on this bone. Like, there was no reason for Cody to win at WrestleMania. Because now we have a really juicy storyline that can be told here. So that's what we think is gonna be the deal with Cody Rhodes. Anything else that you want to add?
I think the only one that just came to mind before we end it is there has been a lot of negative about Cody Rhodes from Seth Rollins on social media, some of the interviews that he's made. So we could fall back into that feud again, because Seth has never gotten his win yet. He's never beat Cody. So I think, hey, maybe that's there, unless SummerSlam or Raw after SummerSlam, Cody's champion. That's where Seth finally comes in, runs the gauntlet, and maybe we see Cody drop to Seth. I don't know.
I mean, I would love for Seth to win Money in the Bank and then cash in the second Cody wins. Like, you want more trials and tribulation? Holy shit, man. That would be awesome.
That would be my mark out level, like when Shane McMahon returned and you made fun of me.
Yeah.
It would be up there. That would be mark level right there. So I would love that. But anyways, let's digress and stop beating this one like with a dead horse. But like, I'll tell you right now, man, Cody is in for a very busy year. Let's just say that Cody's in for a busy year, but I just want to look down straight at the camera and I'm going to be like, we told you so.
We tried, man. We tried to make this hurt less by warning you that the tribal chief was gonna win. We tried to warn you, but you didn't listen, and now it hurts, and it hurts real bad. And we're over here smug as a bug, telling you we told you so, bitches. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast. Steve, where can people find you?
Guys, you can find me at twitch.tv/Mr. Tesh. Santi and I record every Tuesday night our podcast live on Twitch, so you can follow me over on mine. And then Twitch or TikTok at Mr. Tesh, and all of the Straight Shoot platforms, which the links are in our bio. Santi?
You can find me over at twitch.tv/SantiZap or over on TikTok at Mr. SantiZap. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Quick Shoots with Straight Shoot. Take care and be good people.